Redditors who gave your SO a second chance after they cheated, why did you forgive them and have you learned to fully trust them again? How is your relationship now? We were married less than a year. It was the hardest year of my life. He went to watch a sporting event with his friends and didn't come back that night. He called me in the morning and told me what happened. Lots of counseling. Lots of fighting. And we are still married 20 years and 2 kids later. I think since he told me right away and didn't try to hide it made it easier. Forgave her. 6-8 months later she was pregnant. I found out it wasn't mine. I forgave because prior to his cheating, I had been going through a really rough time with my mental health and knew I had not been an easy partner to be with for several months. It was an excuse to stay for sure. But in a way I understood how it happened because he started talking to her about me and it progressed from there. When I discovered it, he did everything I asked without hesitation, and after a few months, things actually did get better. I didn't fully trust him again for a couple of years. What finally regained trust was when I had an unexpected injury and surgery, and he was 100% there for me through the whole painful process and picked up the slack without complaint when I couldn't work for a couple of months because of it. Things were good again for a few years. I left him in August after I discovered he was cheating for the second time. I'm much happier now. Can everyone PLZ stop the bamboozles PLZ? The recurring theme here is that they cheated again. Isn't it? Guess I'll just add to that then. She cheated on me 3 months before we were to get married. Decided to give her another chance. We even didn't cancel the wedding. Just postponed it for 12 months. Cheated again only a few months later with another person. All of that was after a 5-year relationship. She never cheated then. Only towards the end she changed. Not me, but there's a girl I follow on Facebook just to watch the trashiness. Her BF cheated on her. She forgave him. Got pregnant by him. They married. Baby was born. Then husband cheated on her again less than a year after marriage with the same person as before. Now she keeps posting Harley Quinn memes about beating him up with a baseball bat. Edit. A month later. She just got arrested for battering 3 police officers after fighting someone in a parking lot. In case anybody was wondering. Being trapped in a lease with someone makes you think differently. When you don't have that hard evidence. But deep down you know what's going on. Physically didn't have the money to break up with her. If that makes sense. After the lease ended and we moved into separate places, I gave us a few more months. But we ended it in April. Probably a good thing. Because her and her new BF just celebrated their 1 year in October. These types of threads have popped up a lot recently. And I always seem to comment the story on them. I didn't realize how much it's actually helped me to get it off my chest. There is so much wrong with this whole thing that I could probably write a book about how hard it was being trapped in a lease with someone you loved. And all of the coincidences I had to deal with while questioning my sanity. Wondering if I'm just overreacting. Thanks for listening, dudes. I tried. I didn't forgive him. But I loved him enough to try again even when I didn't trust him anymore. Guess what though? He cheated again. Shocker. I slept with this girl who later admitted to me that she had a long distance boyfriend. I told her this needs to stop and then she broke up with him to be with me. A few months later she moves out of the country and we keep dating. She cheats on me. Can't believe I didn't see it come in. Forgave her because it was only photos. Started to trust her again till she tried to FCK my friend. Jesus Christ, did she suck a dick every time you left the room? I gave her a second chance. But broke it off years later. All the insecurities and negative thoughts will slowly eat you apart. Don't recommend anyone to go through the same experience. Edit. We're still good friends though. Edit 2. People are asking how do you stay friends with someone that betrayed your trust. We didn't break off on a bad ending. I made sure to keep it a civil breakup. I think having a friend you were close with for years is better than her being a stranger, somebody that you used to know. I was 19 and we had been seeing each other for 6 months and he calls and tells me he slept with someone else the night before. I lived an hour away. I broke up with him right away. Couple days later I'm thinking about it and I hadn't had a period in a while, so I take a pregnancy test and I'm pregnant. I tell him and he tells me he will take care of us and we are a team now and we'll do it together. So I forgive him. He told me right away and I'm young and freaked out. 4 years later we get married. Years after that we have another kid. We buy a house in the suburbs. Both work. Go on dates. Ride our bikes and we're just a perfect happy family. I trusted him completely. Took a while but we had overdone so much at a young age. 6 months ago he sits me down and admits that he had slept with over 10 different women this whole time. We're divorcing. My wife ran off with my best friend. Life's been shitty since. I miss him so bad. Never been cheated on. But I am a lawyer who's done a fair number of divorces. The cheater's age is a huge factor. If you're 18-29 and he or she is already running around on you, FCK that noise. It's a symptom of a deeper problem. And just the first of many ways that you are going to get hurt in the relationship. If you're 30-45. Maybe it's worth it to stay in the relationship. YMMV. If you're 45 plus and you still love each other and you've built a life together that you otherwise really like, but the sex has gotten boring or infrequent, then take a good hard look at forgiveness. My husband cheated on me and I forgave him. I later found out that he had cheated at our wedding reception and while I was giving birth to his son. I divorced him. My advice is once a cheater, always a cheater. I gave him a second chance, but it was never the same. The trust was gone. Surprisingly, he began to treat me as if I had cheated. Worried when I went out with girlfriends. Texting frequently when we were apart and becoming upset when I didn't answer right away. And constantly asking questions about my male friends. It was like cheating woke him to the possibility that I could do it. 2. Needless to say, we broke up a few years later. I wish it had been sooner. Edit. My mother caught my father when I was in junior high, 26 now. She stuck it out until I was 23 or 24 because she didn't want the family to know or criticize her for being a divorcee. Since in Asian culture, divorced woman looks worse than a cheating husband. Her mother kept saying null the divorce papers. Go back and so on after she informed her mother that she was splitting up. They wouldn't see you.I. So I gave an example to my grandmother. If your husband, my grandfather was sitting next to her, brought a new woman and said let's sleep together all three of us, you would be okay and let him? She said yes. But later she laughed it off saying I was joking and it's not serious. But that's what my household is facing. He just didn't understand. So my mother has no support other than me. She can't go to look for her parents for support. My father's parents obviously wouldn't be supporting my mother and yeah. My ex cheated with 2 guys who were best friends with each other. She went to town drinking and took one of them back to the flat I paid for. The other I didn't know she was pregnant at the time with my daughter. I found out one day before the sex scan, which was the day before my birthday. I've never felt so much pain at the time. I stayed as I wanted security and both parents to be together for the best interests of our child, but it didn't work out and we split up a few months after my daughter was born. She then got with someone a few days after we split up. So he could have been a third. She cheated on me. I know I was stupid to stay with her and I 100% would not have stayed if she wasn't pregnant. But I have a better relationship now with a wonderful partner who supports me and helps with my child, and I'm glad I split up when I did, otherwise I would have still been in a toxic relationship and never met the love of my life. Did you get a paternity test? Forgave them because they admitted it was a mistake. Totally regret it now. Once a cheater, always a cheater. After breaking up I found out in the 4-year relationship he cheated with 5 people that I know of, including my close friend and another family friend. Yes, he knew they both were known to me. Close friend and family friend aren't your friends. We were crazy about one another early on, or so I thought until she cheated on me. I forgave her as honestly I didn't see us not being together long term. Even though my head was telling me not to. We broke up a couple of months later, but remained good friends. She then started to become close friends with a guy that she cheated on me with, and couldn't understand why that was an issue. In the end I gave an ultimatum, well, 2 or 3 times, that it was either me or him and she chose me. We are still close friends now, but in a very confusing spot. Both my family and her family assume that we're going to go on and get married, but I'm not so sure. I absolutely adore spending time with her, but I'm not sure I'd recommend it to anyone. The saying once a cheater, always a cheater sticks clear in my mind, no matter how sweet and innocent they appear to be. I'm on mobile and it's late so I can't be bothered with the full shebang, but the TLDR is, I forgave him because if he hadn't told me there would have been absolutely no way I would have found out, and he was crushed by what he had done. It's been over 3 years since this happened. Trust just takes time. Open communication and time. Our relationship is sensational now. Been together nearly 5 years. Have a gorgeous doggo, and if all goes according to plan I'll be lucky enough to marry him. It is possible to recover from cheating. It takes work, patience, communication, and most importantly a strong want from both parties to make it through. I forgave, I thought, but I couldn't forget. Held on a couple more years, but the resentment built in both of us until we couldn't stand the sight of each other. Him because I could never fully trust him again and he knew it. In me because he expected me to get over it, but I saw the betrayal every time I looked at him. We finally called it quits and moved on with our lives. We're both happier and the kids are happier for it. I forgave her after I dumped her because she sent me pictures of fresh cut marks on her inner thigh. I thought she'd kill herself because I was young and naive. We were together for 5 years after. The trust never fully recovered. I never truly forgave her, and I always resented her for doing that to me. She used that extra time to find a nice apartment with the other guy, then take nearly everything I owned, including a diploma, my own baby albums, and the food from the fridge. I looked her dead in the eye and said point blank, if you ever put your house on States Avenue again without buying it, I will never play this game with you again. I don't understand cheating as a whole. I would personally have a hard time getting over it and forgiving. Trust is so hard to gain back. I would rather my partner just come to me and say they wanted out, instead of cheating on me. It would suck, but I would respect the honesty. The cheater doesn't want to break up, they want both. I don't get it when people seem to think cheating indicates something is wrong with the relationship. The cheater is just an immoral person who wants to have their cake and eat it. 2. They might be perfectly happy in their relationship but want to have sex on the side. Obviously it's wrong, but I think it's fairly obvious why someone might do it. One of my best mates cheated on his wife about 10 years ago. It lasted about 3 months and he got caught out. The marriage survived in name only. They appear to hate each other. He was genuinely remorseful, but his wife just can't get beyond it and throws it in his face all the time. I was in their house for dinner one night and he was telling us about painting their decking. Somehow his wife picked a fight over the color he'd used and ended up screaming, "Is that the color she would have preferred?" My wife and I excused ourselves and haven't been back for dinner since. Just get over it. And if you can't, get out of it. He's staying out of guilt. I have no idea why she's staying, but clearly she is miserable and doesn't trust him or forgive him. Nightmare all round. Oh, and there's no kids involved either, so that's another reason not to hang on in there. Wife had an affair about 7 years into our relationship. 5 years ago now. We went to therapy. It messed both of us up a lot for a bit. We worked through it and our marriage has never been better. We're constantly growing and learning. It was rough for a bit. And we both still sometimes have issues with the still lingering repercussions. But overall it's great. When I caught her, she called me out. He looked at me with wonder in his eyes while you never even look up from your iPad when I walk into the room. I grew up in one of those families with unlimited screen time. We'd eat in front of the TV. To appease my wife, we started eating at the dinner table and looking into one another's eyes. She had me going for a bit though, with all her the eyes are the windows to the soul mumbo jumbo. Ends up hers was black because she ended up cheating on me yet again. We're divorced now. Probably will get buried, but she cheated when she went abroad with her friends on holiday to Germany. Needless to say, I hadn't known about it when she came back, although I had a gut feeling. I knew deep down something had happened, although she had sworn nothing did. I gave her the benefit of the doubt and continued to be with her on the grounds that nothing happened. Fast forward 4 months and she broke the news to me. She said it was a mistake and I forgave her because, well, love is what it is. We worked out for a few months before I broke it off, but I wasn't happy. It will always be in the back of your head, eating away at your sanity. I always thought she'd be cheating when I wasn't around. I could never trust her. After I broke it off, she told me she had cheated again with her best friend, female, multiple times towards the end of the relationship. Wasn't very shocked. Kind of expected it. Once a cheater, always a cheater. My first proper girlfriend cheated on me early on and lost her virginity to a guy I knew. It made me severely depressed and I struggled for over a year to get past it. It left me with major issues regarding trust, jealousy and being open with people in relationships. I ended up cheating on her twice because I was stupidly justifying it to myself. Ended up ruining that relationship completely and was something I had to slowly learn to get over. We were together for 2 years but broke up twice in that time. Once for several months and I saw other people. In reality she was clearly truly sorry and did literally everything she could to make it up to me. But she just couldn't. I'm now past a lot of these issues, but the scars remain in the way I act sometimes. If it were to happen now, I know I would just have to walk away. Haha, she loses her virginity to another dude while she has a proper BF and you think she was sorry? A bit over a year into our relationship, I found out through a friend that he had kissed some girl at a party. I was devastated. Immediately called him to tell him I knew. He first denied it, until he realized there was no way he could say that one. I knew though my friend it had only been a kiss and he had left the party immediately after. But I think I was most hurt by the fact that he didn't tell me. I was also surprised he could be stupid enough to kiss someone at a party where there was a friend of mine, and still didn't think telling me was the best option. It's been a year after that, and I think it was healthy for me to realize he was far from perfect. He has some trouble communicating, but that made him open up a lot. Talk about his family, his past, and things I didn't know about him. I still struggle sometimes, but I think we are doing fine. I still miss her. I don't hate her for it. Maybe I should. She seemed very remorseful, so I gave her a second chance. Well, yeah. Don't give chances to cheaters, I think they never change. She ruined my life tbh. Tried to forgive them but was never able to fully trust them again. We broke up after she cheated again. Trust in a relationship is like a mirror. Once it's broken you can try and fix it, but it will never be what it once was. Now I'm currently on the other side of this. I recently discovered my wife of 4 years, been together for 15 years, has cheated on me with someone she met at the gym. I only found out about 8 weeks ago, but from what I've seen, it's been going on for about 6-8 months. I will never forgive her for this. I've even confronted her about him and she flatly denies anything has happened, and I have proof, but I'm saving that for the pending divorce. Even if she admitted it and wanted to get back together, I'd never be able to trust anything she said, so I'm just going to walk away from this part of my life and try and forget her completely.